Hello everyone, it is Friday and I'm here. It is 5 after 11, my apologies. Alright, so I wanted to show you a neat little technique and we're just going to finish up a card that I had started making previously. I recently did this card with my technique club and they seemed to think that it was a neat technique, so I thought I would share it with you all as well. So if you're not familiar with the stamp set, this is Nature's Beauty. It is a lovely stamp set that is currently in the holiday catalog, so it will only be available until January the 4th. And every purchase of this stamp set, $4 is going towards mental health. So it's a really, really great cause, and it's a beautiful stamp set to have in your arsenal. So we've got these lovely animal images, and then we have just a few other background images. So no sentiments, but you can put whatever type of sentiment with it. So I have done a few different projects with this card. I've done this lovely one using the Come Together DSP, a thankful card. And then I did this cute little wine tag. And I'm still running the promo that anyone who purchases this stamp set from me, in addition to the $4 that Stampin' Up! Will donate, I will also donate another $4, and you would get a PDF of these projects. So there is the wine tag that I made with the deer. Okay, so we are going to make this card, but with a holiday theme, and I'm going to show you how we are able to create that wreath. In case you're thinking, I didn't see anything in that stamp set that looks like that. So we are going to use this single stamp to create a wreath. Okay. So I've already cut the paper for this card, and I wanted to use sort of traditional Christmas colors. So I am using the Toil Tidings DSP. And we're going to use the red side. So we're accenting with real red. We're using this beautiful thick real red ribbon that is also in the holiday catalog. And it makes a nice transition from our DSP up to our plain paper. Okay, and then this is nicely framed there. So that's going to be our finished card. But first we need to do the wreath. And so how I did that is you just need to trace a circle. So I used a circle out of my dies, but you can use any circle you like. So if you have a mug or just something circular, that will work as well. I'm actually going to even trace this with pen, mostly because I do have a pencil. But it doesn't actually matter because you will cover your line. So now we're just going to use this as a guide for our stamping. So I'm going to lightly trace my circle. And like I said, you won't even need to erase this. You won't see it. Okay, so there is our template. All right. So I'm going to do this in 2 shades of green, and it would make sense to start with the lighter color and then go to the darker color, and then we wouldn't actually even have to clean our stamp. But I like doing the darker color first because I like the lighter color on top. Otherwise, the darker color will just sort of cover that everywhere. So we are just going to ink up our stamp. Make sure it's well inked here. And then all you're going to do is go around the circle. So I'm just going to have to kind of get over top of this, so hopefully I don't get in the frame. So I'm just putting basically the center of the stamp sort of where my pencil line is, like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to go around sort of tip to tail and do the same thing around this whole circle. And you're going to say at first that does not look circular at all. I agree. It doesn't. But I was pleasantly surprised when I played with this, when I created this original design, how nicely it all comes together. Okay, so there's the first go around. And I'm just gonna stamp that off. My chamois is upstairs because I'm in the middle of classes all weekend. So we're gonna pull out the old stamp and scrub. Clean this guy off. Okay, so now I want to bring in a contrasting green. So I'm going to bring in Pear Pizzazz. I know that's what the girls brought in my technique club. They really liked that combination of colors. We were using pear for another card. Okay, so now you're just going to take your lighter color and go everywhere where there's a gap. So if you pick two colors that are fairly close, two shades of green that are fairly close, you won't get very much contrast. So it really depends what you're looking for. If I show you back to the original card I made, there was very little contrast at all with the two greens that I chose, whereas here you can see we're getting a little bit more contrast. You can also see that somewhere I had ink on my finger, maybe, and I've got a little bit of ink in the middle there. So that's not super ideal. Hi, Jacqueline. Yes, so you can see the difference in the two greens there because I've used two that are fairly different. In this card that I had made previously, I think I used Mossy Meadow and Old Olive, so there's not much of a difference there. But I like that we've got a bit of contrast there. Okay, so now we're going to A, add some berries, and B, add our sentiment. So the way that I chose to use berries, because I was trying to work exclusively with this stamp set, is by using this stamp full of dots. So I did that, and I did a marker. So we're going to pull out our Real Red marker, because Real Red is the color in our card. And we have to be a bit careful with this. I know when I was playing around with this recently, I didn't really like what I had going on. So I'm going to take a look, and I think what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to figure out which dots I want to color so that they will actually be on the wreath. So I think I'm just going to do like these 8. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to take my marker, and we won't even have to huff, because often if you use a marker, you want to huff on it to bring back the color, but because we're only doing this little bit, then we're going to turn it over, and I'm just going to place that in the wreath. So you can see now we have some lovely red berries. So it's just a tricky way of turning this stamp set into something Christmassy if you wanted to. It's also just a way to sort of think outside of what you're sort of seeing. So I know what I'm seeing a lot of with this stamp set is the animals, which of course they're sort of a focal point. And there's some really beautiful things being done with it. But I wanted to do something that, you know, sort of focused on a stamp that you might not think to pull out of the box at all. And I know sometimes you buy a stamp set and then the label never goes on, you never use it, stamp set retires, you've still never used it. And that I could see be something that might happen with some of these. So this is coming together quite nicely by me actually taking a few extra minutes to really figure out which of those dots I wanted to color for the berries. I'm not ending up with any out in the middle. Because I know before that I can see you have a comment there, Jacqueline, but I can't being more free with the dots. Yep, totally. If you wanted your dots to not be as sort of prescribed as mine, you could definitely use an ink pad. I want it to be like this, which is why I'm choosing to use the marker. Also because I know I need my sentiment to go in the middle there, so I don't want that to be covered with my dots. Now, the sentiment that I want to use, I know is upstairs. So because I am not going to run away from this video to go get it, we are going to get creative. And we're going to find a different one that fits. So that Merry Christmas will fit there. So we can use that one. What else have we got? May you enjoy this beautiful season. I want something that's going to fill it quite nicely, but I don't want it to be cut off at all. So the season's greetings is too big unless we break it into two. The joy would work, but I feel like the joy is almost too small. The Christmas rose. Yeah, I don't have that one, Jacqueline. I did not purchase the Christmas rose. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go with a straight old Merry Christmas. And I'm going to put it sort of right there. And hopefully that's going to cover that little snick of green. The other thing, the lovely thing about using this stamp is it is clear, of course. So I can see exactly where it's going. Now we're going to get out our real red stamp pad in this case because we're using the entire stamp. And I should have my foam pad, but of course that is upstairs too because, like I said, I am in the middle of Stamp-A-Stacks. So I'm going to purposely put that I on there, or maybe I'm going to turn it. And then I'll put the M, or what can I put there? Yes, like that. Love it. All right. So there we go. We have a lovely little festive wreath that we made out of something. Hi, Mary and Nina. That was not at all Christmassy. So I really love how that actually turned out. I like those two colors of green. So like I said, that was garden green and pear pizzazz. So all these strips I had already cut, okay? So we have our standard card base if you want to recreate this card. And then this guy, I believe, is 2 inches. Maybe, yeah, 2 inches, okay? So we're gonna attach this to our card front. You can do it however you like. I am using snail. When I do strips like this, I sometimes like to snail kind of like this in strips, as opposed to doing all the edges, but it kind of depends how big the piece is. Because this has to line up with the exact edge of our card, I'm actually gonna make sure I've got right into the edges of that DSP so it doesn't curl up. I'm gonna line this up. There we go, perfect. Okay, and now we have the ribbon. So there are a couple of options for the ribbon. Again, my tear tape is upstairs because I have been busy doing things for Christmas craft shows. So what I'm going to use, this is sticky strip, and this is the previous version of the tear and tape. So the tear and tape, much better in my opinion, but we'll use this just because it's what I have, and it'll just kind of show you what this is like. So we're gonna stick this across, and then different from the tear tape, you can't actually tear it. So you need scissors to cut it. I think that is why Stampin' Up! Came up with the dated version, which is so much better, trust me, so much better. And we're going to stick some on the top of the ribbon. So I'm gonna go like this. And I know I have cut this ribbon too big, so I can do a little bit less of the tear tape, although I'm going to cut the ribbon off, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then what you do is just peel the strip off. So same as if we used the tear and tape, you put it on, you tear the strip off. Like I said, this is just the old version of it, so don't be confused as to what's happening. And you could also just use snail, you could use glue, but I find with ribbon, it's nice to use this tape. Unless you're tacking the ribbon around on the back side, which I will often do, but because this is the front of my card, I don't want to be tacking it around. It's not a layer. If it were a layer to the card, I would tack it around. Okay, so we're going to put our ribbon on. Like that. So if this was an extra layer, I would actually just roll it around, and that's where I would have adhered it. But because it's our card front, we're not doing that. So we're going to cut that edge off, discard that, and do the same on the other side. Okay, and then for these pieces, this is actually a weird dimension. My apologies for that, but it's basically sometimes when I'm creating, I just create on a big piece and then cut, and so then that's how I end up with these weird kind of measurements. So this is actually 3 1/8 by 3. So then this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/8, so that it's framing it nicely. All right, so again, we're going to adhere this, and you can see I actually had reused this piece of cardstock where I had done a wreath that I wasn't happy with. And that is the beauty of Stampin' Up's cardstock, whether it's their Whisper White, very vanilla. Even with these light colored cardstocks, the cardstock is such great quality that you can stamp in bold, bold colors like green and red and be able to turn it over and nobody is any the wiser. Okay, and then we were going to put that on with some dimensionals. So what I'm actually going to do is use the edge of my mini dimensionals. It's got a nice, great, thick edge. So I'm going to break that up into like 4 pieces, and I am going to put it across our corners. And I'm trying to keep my dimensionals on either edge because of the ribbon being in the middle, and the ribbon will be a different thickness. So then that's going to pop up just like that. So I'm actually really happy with how this looks. I like that Merry Christmas stamp inside of it. You can see that this card does not take very long to put together. Even with stamping that wreath in the 2 steps and tracing it around the circle, it didn't take us very long. We've only actually been live for 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes. Admittedly, I had all this paper already cut, but you can see how this could easily be a card that you could mass produce if you like to send out a lot of Christmas cards. It's simple, but I still think it is stunning. And if you wanted to, you could probably add a couple dimensionals, or you could, oh my goodness, the dots, glittering enamel dots came in these 2 colors. So there you have it, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for anyone who tunes in and watches this video later. If you live in Canada, I would love your business. And if you are local to the Fraser Valley, I'm in Langley, and I would love to see you at one of my classes. Please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you have a fabulous Friday and a lovely long weekend. Thank you. It is a nice layout, and this would be an easy layout to use for so many types of occasions. All right, my friends, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.